In the 3rd year of our marriage, Thomas said he was tired of me and had found a beautiful college student. I didn't lose out either. I found myself a stunning male model, living a life of nightly indulgence. Later, the male model wanted to take things further and asked for a title. Scared, I immediately broke up with him. What a joke! My husband doesn't come home every day, gives me $1 million a month to spend freely, and no one is around to control me. How could I not enjoy this life? Then, I accompanied Thomas to a party with wealthy elites, playing the role of a loving couple. But to my surprise, the poor male model I had just broken up with turned out to be the heir to a top-tier family. That day, Thomas called me. Where are you? I was at the floor-to-ceiling window, covering my mouth, struggling to catch my breath. On the other end of the line, Thomas was furious. Who are you with? A hand from behind me pressed the phone down with increased force. You still have the energy to answer calls from others? Looks like you're not tired enough. Chapter 1. Baby Laura. Shall we go public? David's heated lips wandered behind my ear, his voice hoarse from desire. Hearing this, my hand, which had been touching my abs, trembled. Calling me that intimately, his thoughts are a little wild. Besides, what exactly are we to each other? Doesn't he know in his heart? I grabbed his hand, which was trying to go further, held his face, almost devilishly handsome, and gave him a light peck on his lips. Baby, have you been happy these past 2 years? His long lashes fluttered. Happy? Is the money I give you enough? He fell silent. I suddenly understood. It seems that $50,000 a month really wasn't enough. How about I raise it to $100,000? To be fair, David was handsome, in great shape, good in bed, and provided emotional value. I really liked him. Do you think I lack money? He stopped moving, his voice turning slightly colder. At that moment, Thomas's call came through. I signaled him to stay quiet. Shoo, my husband's calling. I answered the phone. Thomas's cold voice came through. Where are you? I touched David's face. Smiling, I'm with my boyfriend. Thomas thought I was joking, letting out a cold snort. Come home tonight to try on your dress. Tomorrow, come with me to the banquet. I understood. This was him asking me to put on the act of being a loving couple. I got off the bed and picked up my clothes to put on. David hugged me from behind. Are you going back? I murmured. Yes. I felt like he was being overly clingy today. When I first noticed him at the club, I liked the way he seemed to keep everyone at a distance, looking both handsome and rebellious. At the time, he had incredulously looked at me, raising an eyebrow. Do you dare to want me? Hey, we were already here. What did I have to fear? I jumped on him. Stop pretending to be pure. I'm going to take good care of you. His gaze darkened. Later, all I knew was that it was me who couldn't get off the bed. Chapter 2. Don't go back, okay? Divorce him, and I'll marry you. A chill ran through my heart. Wow, I was after your body, and you're after my heart. Aren't I living a good life now? My husband is never home. I swipe my black card freely every month, and no one cares. Men are all pigs. Am I crazy to jump out of this fire pit into another one? Looks like David is serious about me, but I just want to be happy, not responsible. I'm such a jerk. To ease my guilt, I immediately pulled out a check from my bag. Baby, we've been together for 2 years. Take this $1 million, and let's end our relationship here. David stiffened at the back. You're breaking up with me? I kept putting on my clothes, not noticing the coldness and disbelief in his voice. You look attractive, but don't do this job anymore, all right? Find a proper job and be a decent person. David didn't say anything, but I felt a chill behind me. He sneered. $1 million to get rid of me? I knew it wouldn't be enough. Young guys are so hard to deal with. Next time, I'll make sure to remember this lesson. After tidying up my clothes, I tiptoed and kissed him on the lips. Honestly, I feel a bit reluctant, but it's for your own good, okay? How about $2 million? I gave him another check. Then I rubbed his face. Baby, I should head home now. Take care of yourself. And then, under his resentful gaze, I opened the door and left. Chapter 3. When I got home, Thomas was waiting for me. He pointed at the gift box on the table. Try it on. I hummed in response, the size hasn't changed. It should fit. As I gestured for the maid to take it to the bedroom, Thomas suddenly stood up, grabbing my wrist, making me stumble into his arms. He tore open my collar, his eyes fierce as if he wanted to devour me. What's this? I pulled away his hand. You're hurting me. What's wrong with him? Thomas didn't let go, gritting his teeth. Hickeys? Laura, you did this on purpose to make me jealous, didn't you? Oh, hickeys. I unconsciously touched my neck. This is David's fault. Smiling slightly, I looked at Thomas. If you want to think that way, I can't help it. Seeing my indifferent attitude, Thomas tugged at his tie and directly picked me up, carrying me upstairs. Asshole, why won't you let me go? When I was thrown onto the bed, my phone rang. It was David, but I didn't have him saved in my contacts. Thomas snatched my phone away, his gaze darkening. Who is this? My boyfriend. Is that a problem? He hesitated to answer, instead standing up and letting out a cold laugh. I get it now. Laura, first, the marks on your neck, then the random phone call. What? Trying to grab my attention with these tricks? You're not young anymore, you know? So immature. After saying that, he gave me a look as if he was just going to watch me act out, and he wouldn't fall for it. Then he spoke contemptuously. Stop wasting your efforts. I'm honestly not interested in you right now. I lowered my head and smiled, as if I was interested in you. Chapter 4. Thomas and I were childhood sweethearts who ended up marrying. When I found out he was cheating, I fought and made a scene, using all kinds of tactics to get him to come home. But Thomas only responded with indifference and annoyance. Laura, there are so many things like this in our circle. Is it really worth it for you? We each do our own thing. Don't interfere with me, and I won't control you. The position of Mrs. Koo is still yours, isn't it? What a load of nonsense. I want a divorce. My parents disagreed, advising me to turn a blind eye and tolerate it. It would pass eventually. I knew the real reason. I still had value to them. If I divorced, the family business would suffer. I didn't want to tolerate it. But Thomas kept getting worse, switching partners one after another. And in the end, he picked out a beautiful college student. He kept her in a villa, treating her like a queen. After receiving photos from a private investigator, my heart turned to ash. After locking myself away for a full day and night, I finally came to a realization. To hell with love, why should I suffer? That's when I found David. Chapter 5. After Thomas left, I received a text message. Laura, you're really useless. He went back, and you couldn't even keep him. He's in the shower now, and my body's falling apart. It was Beatrice, the little bird Thomas had kept for 2 years. Over the years, she had made it a point to report all her little secret affairs with Thomas to me. She was clearly trying to provoke me, but I didn't take the bait, after all. The young male model had a great body and was amazing in bed, multiple times a night. Who had the energy to think about anything else? But today, I suddenly felt interested, so I sent her a message with the dress Thomas had bought me. Really? Thomas likes you so much. Why haven't you gone public yet? Does he not love you? She was so angry she didn't reply the entire night. Chapter 6. I appeared at the banquet with Thomas, wearing my professional fake smile. He seemed pleased. Laura, look, isn't this good for us? I rolled my eyes. Stop testing my obedience. I'm not falling for it. Around us, voices began to spread. I heard the big shot's son is coming too. Are you talking about Jack's son? He went back to China 2 years ago, but has never shown up. Today, we finally get to meet him. Thomas quietly whispered to me, the Sun family only has one son, and he's the future heir. Many of the Koo family's businesses still rely on them. Later, you should come with me to toast him. I responded indifferently with a hum, while sipping champagne. The room suddenly became lively. Everyone was crowding towards the entrance, enjoying the rare moment of peace. I picked up a dessert, but then saw someone acting suspiciously in the corner. It was Beatrice. I guess she must have been so upset from my message yesterday that she cried and caused a scene with Thomas. That's probably why he brought her to this kind of event. Looks like he really treasures her, not wanting her to suffer even the slightest grievance. But Beatrice wasn't looking at me. Her gaze was fixed on the entrance. her face full of youthful longing and admiration. I followed her line of sight and instantly froze. David? What was he doing here? My mind was filled with 1,000 questions. Right now, he was wearing a tailored suit, looking noble and aloof, completely different from the puppy-like baby he used to call me when we were close. Before I could react, he smirked and raised an eyebrow at me. As usual, he was a bit of a rogue in front of others. Only when he disappeared into the banquet hall with his parents did my heart, which had been racing, finally settle down. I thought of every possible explanation. Maybe it's just someone who looks like him? Perhaps I'm imagining things because I miss David? Their names are different. How could it possibly be the same person? How could a wealthy heir be a male model that I kept? I tried to reassure myself, there's no way. No way. Just then, my phone rang. Seeing the familiar number, my breath caught in my chest. Chapter 7. I took a deep breath for 10 seconds before picking up the phone. I tried to speak casually. What's up? Miss me? A low chuckle came from the other end, laced with a hint of seduction. Look up. I raised my head and locked eyes with Jack, who was leaning against the railing. I froze. I really did miss you. Used me up and tossed me aside. Huh, baby? He smiled like a devil, sending a shiver down my spine. I quickly hung up the phone. I put my hand on the table, trying to gather my thoughts. David is Jack. Jack is the heir to a wealthy family. I've been keeping him for 2 years with $50,000 a month. Then I dumped him with $200,000. Right now, I felt like I was quietly falling apart. I really wanted to post online and ask emotionally intelligent people what I should do. But then I thought better of it. Netizens would probably just tell me that my son can't be a child model. Frustrated, I put my hand to my forehead when Thomas walked over to me. What are you thinking about? I was thinking about my boyfriend. He paused for a few seconds, his face darkening. Laura, that's enough. You've been playing this game since yesterday. Your tactics to get me to go home are getting more and more ridiculous. I snorted, pointing to the corner. Thomas, you should take it easy too. Bringing your mistress here. You have no shame. But I still do. Angered, Thomas immediately left me and went off to find his lover. Chapter 8. My mind was still a bit disoriented, so I wanted to step out onto the balcony for some fresh air. Walking down the corridor, I turned the corner and unexpectedly bumped into a hard chest. He seized the opportunity to wrap his arm around my waist, twisted the door open, and dragged me inside. Pressed against the door, I barely had time to react before a scorching kiss descended upon me. David, has he gone mad? This is a banquet. What if someone finds out? It'll be over. I struggled. He grabbed my wrist with the other hand and lifted it above my head, pinning me down completely. The position was both ambiguous and erotic. His kiss was so aggressive, and his hands were all over me. Just as I was about to give in to the overwhelming sensations, I heard voices from outside the door. Where's Laura? I clearly saw her head upstairs. My limp body immediately tensed, and I urgently tried to push the person in front of me away. But he bit my earlobe lightly and whispered, "Baby, be good, or they'll hear us." Jack, when you like someone, you call them baby. When you don't, you just use their name. Isn't it a bit too heartless of you to treat me like this? Why didn't I realize he was this unreasonable before? Is this the time for flirtatious banter? I heard some noise from this room. It was Thomas. In the darkness, my hearing was extra sharp, and it seemed like footsteps were getting closer. My heart was in my throat. Just as I heard the door handle jingle, another voice interrupted Thomas. What are you doing? If you disturb other people's fun, you're asking for trouble. The signal here's bad. Go downstairs and make a few more calls. Laura's not that thoughtless. She'll be back soon. Then the footsteps moved away. I let out a sigh of relief, but Jack's hand gently caressed my face. Do you think, if he saw you with me, what kind of expression he'd have? I bit his hand. Are you crazy? What kind of place is this? Our thing can wait. Don't do anything rash. I have to go down quickly. Otherwise, we'll really be caught. He kissed my face, holding me in place and not letting me go. He brought his lover too, didn't he? How can you lose to him? My mind was about to explode, and I blurted out, didn't we break up yesterday? His grip on my waist tightened. The atmosphere around us turned heavy. Even Jack's breathing felt oppressive to me. I quickly covered my mouth. Fine. Fine. We're not breaking up. Okay? Now, can you let me go? Humph. Jack's tone was proud, unless you divorce him. Fine. 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 But I haven't kissed you enough. I forced myself to calm my racing heart, pulled on his tie, and tiptoed to kiss him. Is that enough? That was just one kiss. This was really unreasonable. Before I could say anything more, Jack lowered his head, cupped my face with both hands, and kissed me again. As I reached up to push him away, he bit my lip. The pain made me gasp. Are you a dog? Marked and stamped. You're not allowed to kiss him. Then he opened the door and pushed me out. Before I could fully step out, he didn't forget to say, "See you later, baby." Chapter 9. Where did you go? Thomas frowned when he saw me appear. Just getting some fresh air. What's wrong with your mouth? I unconsciously licked my lips and replied, trying to sound confident. What's wrong with it? He eyed me suspiciously for a few seconds. In the end, it seemed like he convinced himself everything was fine. Another one of your tricks. Laura, you're really boring. I rolled my eyes at him, so bold. Fix yourself up and come with me to toast. I turned away, quietly taking out my phone to check. Well, no surprise. My face was flushed and my lips were cracked. I quickly touched up my makeup, then grabbed the wine and followed Thomas. Why don't you hold my arm? He asked. Looking down at me, I pretended not to hear, focusing on the ceiling and the floor, anything but looking at him. After all, someone ahead was staring at me. It wasn't that I was trying to keep my purity for Jack. I just thought, why cause more trouble when he gets jealous? He's really clingy. I stood next to Thomas, forcing a smile as I watched him greet the Sun family. I blanked out. Miss Laura seems familiar. Suddenly, Jack called my name. I stared at him, confused, quickly waving. I said, I have a common face. Thomas's smile froze, and he asked cautiously, do you and Mr. Sun know each other? I jumped in, answering first, no, we've never met. Today's the first time. My phone buzzed. Jack sent a message. Don't know each other? We've been kissing off the record for ages. I ignored it, keeping my face calm and my expression as steady as if I was going to join a political party. Jack looked at Thomas with a smile but didn't answer or speak. Mrs. Sun stepped in to ease the situation when Jack was at school. He used a different name. I heard Mrs. Koo is also from a university. Maybe you two met there. I smiled, maybe, but we're not really familiar. My phone buzzed again. Not familiar? Who said they loved it when I showed off all my moves during our nightly fun? My ears turned red with embarrassment. Does he even know what he's saying? It's an honor to be from the same school as Mr. Sun. Thomas stopped mid-sentence. His gaze landed on the bite marks on Jack's palm. Mr. Sun, did you hurt your hand? A kitten bit me. Jack smirked at me. Thomas nodded, as if remembering the sounds he heard earlier in that room, and laughed. That's one wild kitten. Yes, someone else's. But soon it'll be mine. Thomas squinted his eyes, probably imagining some dramatic scene of winning a wife, then raised his glass. Well, I'll toast to your success. Hope Koo family and Sun family's future collaborations go smoothly. Thomas Koo bid them farewell. He wrapped his arm around me and started walking back. Didn't expect Jack to be so playful. I pretended to be dead. Who do you think that house cat was? I instinctively moved a bit further away from him. How would I know? He suddenly looked down at me, then comforted himself. You wouldn't have the guts. He'd be surprised at my audacity. Thomas said, I'm going to make a few more rounds. Wait for me. Chapter 10. With a glass of wine in hand, I sat by the pool, contemplating life. When I first started, I did have some reservations, but while healthy relationships are undoubtedly precious, distorted ones can be incredibly thrilling. Once you let go of morality, everything just becomes so much more fun. But if the Sun family knew their son had been with me for 2 years, wouldn't that be a headline-worthy scandal? I paused to think. I really am something, playing such an unconventional game right from the start. I'm bad, and I love it. Just then, Beatrice walked over. She really has guts. She held a thermos cup in her hand and stared at me without hesitation. He brought me here. Are you about to be disgusted to death? Can you believe that the mistress dared to show herself in front of the main partner? I suddenly remembered Jack's earlier taunting words to Thomas. Maybe if I gave him more time. With his personality, he'd probably shoot back at Thomas. Only those who aren't loved are the mistresses. So when I listened to Beatrice again, I felt like I understood where she was coming from. TSK. It seems human nature is full of double standards. Whatever. I ignored her. But women's biggest fear is cold violence. It doesn't matter who it's from. So Beatrice, seeing that my mood hadn't been affected at all, grew desperate. It's been 2 years since he's touched you, right? He says you're boring and lifeless, like a dead fish. Being with me, he finally feels the joy of true intimacy. Laura, you're clinging to someone who doesn't love you and refuses to divorce. How shameless can you be? She doesn't know that I've mentioned divorce before, but Thomas refused. But there was no need to tell her, because her words really pissed me off. Do you have a bad stomach or did your brain go with it? I'll still be a wealthy young lady even without Thomas. What about you if you leave him? If I wanted to mess with you, everything Thomas bought for you would have to be returned. Do you have the money? I don't get why you still dare to provoke me. Did your brain shrink after you stopped studying? Beatrice was left speechless. I really didn't want to waste any more time with her, so I turned to leave, but she grabbed my hand and yanked it, spilling the hot water from the thermos all over her hand. Miss Laura, I just wanted a drink of water. Why did you push me? She started crying loudly. I turned around, and as expected, Thomas was right behind me. I was really getting tired of this. He shoved me aside and rushed to Beatrice's side. Where did you get burned? Does it hurt? It hurts like hell. Beatrice's tears sparkled in her eyes, on the verge of falling, looking pitiful, but she hid her hand behind her back. It's fine. I don't blame Miss Laura. She must be in a bad mood and accidentally bumped into me. I shot a look at her. It was really better that she hid it. Otherwise, the wound would have healed by now. Thomas just looked at me, his gaze filled with disappointment. Laura, you weren't like this before. Why have you become so jealous and vicious now? Chapter 11. Thomas left with Beatrice. The cool night breeze made me feel a little cold. It wasn't until the crowd had dispersed that Jack hugged me from behind. Laura, I'm still here. Don't cry over that man. I'm a little possessive. You can only have room for me in your heart. I forced my trembling voice under control, but you're lying to me too. Jack paused, then resumed his playful grin. Role play. Babe, isn't that what you like the most? Huh? His words made me hold back my tears. I wasn't that twisted. We were back in the home where we had shared so many intimate moments. I closed the door and immediately kissed him, surprised by my initiative. Jack held me and sat me on the cabinet by the door. He spread my legs apart and responded to me forcefully. Between kisses, I leaned against his shoulder, gasping slightly. He cupped my face. Who am I? David. Oh, now I'm Jack. Do you like Jack? Yes. Are you happy with me? Yes. He continued to seduce me. Do you want to be happier? Yes. His Adam's apple bobbed as he looked down at my lips, his gaze slowly moving lower. The soft light illuminated his chiseled face as his eyes roamed over me, until his mouth caught the strap of my shoulder. Don't do this here. The glass in front felt cold against my skin, while his body behind me burned with heat, a clash of ice and fire. Babe, no one can see us. I knew no one could see us. The glass had been specially installed. It was clear from the inside out, but opaque from the outside in. But the clear view still made me feel embarrassingly exposed. Laura, I want to give you happiness. The most happiness. I gave up resisting, feeling the weight of his words. Just then, my phone rang. I reached for it to hang up but accidentally answered. Thomas's voice was filled with questioning. Laura, where are you? I quickly covered my mouth, but was then pressed against Jack, causing my breath to falter. On the other end, Thomas was furious. Who are you with? Jack reached out and hung up the phone, his movement rough and forceful. You still have the energy to answer calls from others? Looks like you're not tired enough. Chapter 12. I was so tired that I didn't wake up until 10 a.m. the next day. I opened my phone to find countless missed calls and messages flooding in. Friend 1, Did Thomas turn into a stalker? He called me looking for you. I told him you were with me for a spa day. Staying at my place tonight. Heh. Got lost in the battle with the little pup. Huh. Friend 2, urgent situation. Your so-called husband called asking where you are. I said we were playing shooting games. And you're not coming home tonight. Have fun with David. Friend 3, close call. Thomas called me looking for you. I said you're out partying. Won't be home till dawn. Have fun with your little boyfriend. I've got your back. What can I say? A friend is someone who'll cover for you as long as they're in the know. The rest they'll ignore. Of course. As long as you only have one good friend. I opened the message from Thomas sent at 4 a.m. Laura. Were you chopped up and scattered? One piece in the north, one in the east, and one in the south. I thought about whether I should just send him a divorce notice. Then Mother's call came through. Laura. Did you see the trending topic? Come to the old house. Don't tell Thomas Koo. I rolled over, and Jack's hand was still on me. Be good. I'm going to the Koo family old house. He opened his eyes. Going to divorce him? Sort of. Wait here for me, okay? Okay. With that, he pulled me into his arms and gave me a passionate kiss, almost setting off another spark. Chapter 13. It wasn't until we were in the car that I found out that Thomas had been photographed taking Beatrice away from the banquet last night. Not only was there a photo of them leaving in the same car, but there were also some intimate shots. This kind of news has happened before, but it never made a big stir. Koo family always had a way of handling things. But this time, for some reason, it stayed on the homepage, with headlines shouting for attention. The rich always have their dirty secrets, but they keep them hidden from the public. After all, scandals affect not just one person, but all the interests that are tied to them. It was reflected today in the Koo family stock plummeting. Aside from last night's boundary-crossing actions, there were some even worse things in the past. With the affair now solidly confirmed, when I walked into the study, I didn't even have a chance to speak. Koo Mother slapped me across the face. The fiery pain made my mind go completely blank. Laura, is this how you're going to be the wife of the Koo family? You can't even keep a man. What good are you, after causing such a big ruckus yesterday? Are you dead? Letting Thomas take that cheap woman in front of so many people? This wasn't the first time she had lectured me like this. Every time Thomas got photographed, she would scold me. I used to fight back. But then she would use her influence in my family to force me to compromise. I once mentioned divorce, and she laughed. Laura, there's never been a divorce in the Koo family. Besides, you may not care about yourself, but what about your family? Think about the consequences. I looked at Koo Mother, who had once been so kind to me when I was young, and felt a sense of disillusionment. People really do change. I knew that I should act like I always had, weak, lowering my head and saying okay. But thinking of Jack's words this morning, maybe it gave me some courage. What came out of my mouth was, then, let's get a divorce. What? What? Two voices echoed at once. I turned around, and Thomas was standing at the door. Chapter 14. Did you call him here? No, I came by myself. Thomas walked over to my side and saw the red mark on my face, his eyes flashing with pain. Mom, this has nothing to do with Laura. Why are you hitting her? She can't keep a man. Dragging the Koo family into a scandal. Why shouldn't I hit her? It was almost laughable. It was Thomas who was photographed. But somehow, all the blame was placed on me. I suddenly felt completely uninterested. Koo Mother, that's a big burden I can't carry. Since you're so dissatisfied with me, I'll divorce Thomas. You can find someone else. How dare you? Koo Mother was furious. No divorce. Thomas pulled me behind him and comforted Koo Mother. Mom, I'll handle this. The trending topic will be suppressed soon. Our issues. Laura and I will resolve them ourselves. Okay? In the car, Thomas handed me an ice pack. Does it still hurt? I didn't take it and didn't respond. Has your mom always treated you like this? Why didn't you tell me? I called you, but you said I was just lying to get you to come home. Thomas opened his mouth. You used to like to make a scene. If you didn't cheat, would I have caused a scene? He was left speechless. After that, I stopped making a fuss and stopped the internal struggle. He made the first mistake. Did I really have to stay loyal to him while he cheated? That's not how the world works. Back then, I definitely sought someone out to get back at him. So, we were both at fault. Neither of us innocent. But no matter who was right or wrong, I didn't want to keep dragging this out. Thomas. I'm serious. Let's get a divorce. Chapter 15. Before marrying Thomas, I thought we would be together for a lifetime. When I was 6, my younger brother was born, and a fortune teller said that our fates clashed. So I needed to be sent away for a while to be raised elsewhere. So, I was sent to my grandmother's house and attended school in the countryside for 6 years. During those 6 years, my parents had another lovely little sister, and naturally, they forgot about my existence. If it weren't for my grandmother bringing me up, I probably would have never come back. Lacking love, sensitive, and insecure, when I returned home at 12, I naturally couldn't adjust. It was Thomas who always protected me, pulling me into their circle. He would stand up for me when others laughed at my dark skin from the sun. What do you know about healthy, sun-kissed skin? Bunch of country bumpkins. He would volunteer to tutor me when I couldn't keep up with school. Our Laura is so smart. She'll get it in no time. He would get jealous and angry when boys confessed to me, pinching my cheek. Do they look better than me? Don't like him. Like me, okay? Childhood sweethearts. Mutual affection. I always thought I was lucky. That Thomas and I weren't just a cold, arranged marriage. At our wedding, when we made our vows, he said, I, Thomas, will love Laura forever. Later, I realized, in his definition of forever, it only lasted for 3 years. Chapter 16. Thomas froze for a moment. Laura, are you serious? Yes, I am, Thomas. Whether you believe it or not, this isn't about playing hard to get or a retreat to advance. I've made up my mind, and I want to cut off this relationship. Is it because of him? I turned my head. Who? The one you're hiding, Thomas asked. Laura, where were you yesterday? Who were you with? Are you playing me for a fool? Thomas, you walked out with Beatrice yesterday. Did I ask you a single thing? You have a girlfriend, and I have a boyfriend. Isn't that fair? I smiled. His face turned pale with anger. In the car, he pinned me down. Talking about fairness? Did I allow that? I pushed him off. You said it yourself. We do our own thing. No interference. You won't care about me, and I won't care about you. What? It's okay for you to start fires, but not for me to light a lamp? Did he really think that no matter how much he hurt me, I would stay faithful and love him forever? Get real. The feudal era ended a long time ago. He looked incredulous, his eyes slightly red, maybe from anger. Then he grabbed my hand. Laura, say you love me. Say you're lying to me. I'm not lying to you. Thomas, I stopped loving you a long time ago. He suddenly lost control, so now you won't even lie to me. Huh? Which wild man is worth you doing this to me? My heart skipped a beat. I didn't want to mention Jack right now, but he suddenly snatched my phone away, trapping me, and ordered the driver, go to my wife's villa. Chapter 17. Honestly, I was more nervous than waiting for my college entrance exam results. I silently prayed that Jack had already left, but when I opened the door, there he was, shirtless, wearing a collar around his neck, and black lace bunny ears on his head. Master. Surprise. If it were any other time, I would have rushed at him immediately. After all, it really hit all the right spots for me. But right now, I was so embarrassed I felt like digging my toes into the ground. But Jack just raised an eyebrow slightly, totally unfazed. Wow, looks like I've been caught. But Mr. Koo, 3 people in here is a bit crowded for me and Laura. Almost in an instant, Thomas charged forward, throwing a punch. Who told you to touch my wife? To be fair, although Thomas was only 3 years older than Jack, his physical strength wasn't a match for Jack's. Surprisingly, Jack didn't dodge. Instead, he took the punch head-on. He grunted in pain. Mr. Koo, I just said something true. Why are you hitting me? I froze. Wasn't this exactly what Beatrice had said yesterday? But I didn't have time to think about it. Seeing Jack being hit, I felt more pain than anyone. I shoved Thomas aside and ran to Jack's side. Where did you get hit? Does it hurt? Wifey, It hurts so much. He grabbed my hand tightly, acting all wounded and pretending to be magnanimous. It's fine. I'm not mad at Mr. Koo. He must have been in a bad mood and accidentally hit me. Thomas gritted his teeth, ready to say something to me. I shot a glance at him and, in the same tone he used yesterday, I hit him back with his own words. Thomas, you weren't like this before. Why have you become so violent and malicious now? At that moment, Thomas finally connected the dots with all the reminders I had been openly giving him over time. His face drained of color. Chapter 18. But we still needed to talk. Jack dressed and sat next to me. Thomas furrowed his brow. I'm talking to my wife. Can't you stay out of it? Tisk. Mr. Koo, do you not know whose wife she is now? Thomas was so angry his head nearly smoked. His teeth grinding. We aren't divorced yet. And Mr. Sun is willing to be the third wheel. Do your parents know? Huh? Jack suddenly laughed. You sound like a child who can't win an argument and has to bring up parents. Don't you have any shame? Thomas snapped. Jack retorted, if I had any. Would I be the third wheel for love? Rough words, but not without logic. Still, a bit too blunt. I quietly leaned closer to him. Lower your voice. Is this really something to be proud of? He responded with a smirk. Looking at Thomas, when do you have time to divorce? Let's get it over with. Wow. Now he was taking charge. Thomas cracked. Jack, don't think just because your family is powerful, you can do whatever you want. Aw, you just reminded me I have the Sun family. Let's start over. I was speechless. Jack grew serious, his voice coldening. Thomas, I'm giving you 3 days to divorce Laura. If not, the Sun family has ways to bring the Koo family to ruin. Thomas opened his mouth but couldn't get a word out. Jack then pulled out a divorce agreement from somewhere and slammed it in front of him. Sign it. I don't have much patience for this. Chapter 19. Thomas didn't sign because my mom called. She said my dad suddenly fell ill and asked us to come back. Jack wanted to accompany me, but I told him to stay put. I could handle it myself. Okay, but if anything happens, you have to tell me. I'll always be here. Give me a kiss before you go. Thomas couldn't hold it in anymore. Do you guys think I'm dead? I rolled my eyes at him. In the elevator, Thomas spoke first. Laura, I won't divorce you. I've broken up with Beatrice. You need to break up with Jack too. We'll work things out from now on. I laughed. Are you sure you can let her go? Yes, he answered immediately, just as we got out of the elevator. I raised an eyebrow. Good. Then call her now and tell her it's over. He fell silent. Thomas, look at you. You're just a scumbag who wants it all. He tried to explain. Laura, give me some time to handle this. Can you do that? We've had so many good times. Can you really bear to divorce me? It's because I still care about maintaining some dignity. That's why I haven't filed for divorce yet. His body stiffened, and then he started to apologize. I swear, from now on, you'll be the only one in my eyes. I won't play around anymore. I silently watched him. Childhood sweethearts for over 10 years. I'll only have you as my wife. Do you trust me to fix this? He said. At that moment, Thomas's phone rang. It was Beatrice calling. He looked down at me, his brow furrowed. But he answered. It wasn't Beatrice's voice on the other end. It was a young woman's voice. Mr. Koo. The trending topic hasn't been removed. Beatrice is being bashed. And someone even threw paint at her. Now she's on the rooftop, threatening to jump. You need to come now. Send me the address. Thomas didn't hesitate for a second. He hung up the phone and left immediately. Chapter 20. When we got home, everyone was there. My sick father was fine. When he saw me, he slapped me across the face. I dodged. You dare dodge? My mother called and said you want a divorce. What? Do you think you can act like you're in charge now? Who would want you? A woman on her second marriage. If you leave the Koo family? My mom chimed in, men just want peace at home. What's the big deal? Do we really need to go this far? I clenched my fists. Yes, I do want a divorce. My dad's chest heaved with anger. If you dare divorce, you'll be cut off from this family. Even if you die, you'll die in the Koo family. At that moment, all my emotions exploded. Fine. Then let's cut ties. What did you say? Everyone was stunned. I smirked. My brother has no ability. Yet he can inherit. Meanwhile, I'm just here to help the family through marriage. My little sister can do whatever she wants, even date without anyone caring. And you spoil her, afraid she'll be tricked. You don't love me. Fine, but I'm not some tool you can use to sell your daughter for family gain. I want this divorce, and I'm done with this family. By the end, I couldn't stop the tears. Other daughters may suffer, but they have their family to back them up. I have no one behind me. I've always been unable to be heartless because they gave me life. And I've always had hope. I hoped they'd share the love they give my brother and sister with me, even just a little. But they didn't. Since they haven't, I no longer ask for it. From now on, I'll love myself. Are you giving me face now? My dad raised his golf club to strike me, but someone grabbed his arm. It was Jack. I was shocked. What are you doing here? He smiled. I'm here to back you up. My tears became even more overwhelming. He stood in front of me. I've never seen parents who suck the life out of their daughter. You said you were going to cut ties, right? Well, I'm here to witness it. I recorded everything you just said. We'll go to the notary office when we have time. Oh, and by the way, I'm Jack. You should have heard my name. From now on, Laura is no longer your daughter. Don't worry. When she marries me, we won't invite you. Chapter 21. Don't cry. They're not worth it. Jack hugged me, gently kissing away my tears. I shook my head. It's not about crying over them. It's about realizing that in the future, I won't be able to act like I'm the one with all the power and throw a tantrum at you just because I'm the moneymaker. He smiled. Who said that? You have absolute privileges with me. Then he took me to the Sun family's house. I hesitated. I'm not divorced yet. This identity doesn't seem appropriate. It's fine. My parents don't care. Aw, so open-minded? I didn't know what Jack had said to them in the study. When Sun father came out, he smiled and said, Laura, when you were little, I used to carry you. You didn't need to start like that. Sun mother took my hand and removed a bracelet from her wrist, placing it on mine. The older daughter-in-law gets the golden brick. Laura, you are the chosen daughter-in-law of the Sun family. Wait, I'm not divorced yet. I quietly asked Jack. Your family is from Sichuan, right? He raised an eyebrow. Why do you ask? Such a relaxed vibe with a touch of mystique. He rubbed my face. They really like you. Sure enough. That evening they insisted I stay for dinner. Aunt Sun even told me not to worry about the divorce. If I needed help, they would assist me. I just had to live my life well. She also shared a lot of private thoughts with me. On the way back, I said, I really envy you. Having such great parents. My mom has never been this close to me. Revealing vulnerability is more intimate than revealing one's body. I seemed to unconsciously be able to talk about these things with Jack. He kissed my forehead. Soon, they'll be your parents too. Chapter 22. But to avoid giving anyone a reason to gossip during this sensitive time, I told him not to stay over. In the car, he wore me down for a long time before finally letting me go. But I didn't expect to see Thomas at the door. The ground was littered with cigarette butts. When he saw me, he quickly stood up. Laura, what are you doing here? Can we go home and live together? I laughed. This is my home. You know that's not what I meant. I raised my voice. Then you also know what I meant. I promise I'll cut ties cleanly. And after work, I'll come home and be with you, okay? No, it's not okay. Laura, I don't want to hear it. The divorce papers have been sent to your lawyer. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow. Chapter 23. Thomas didn't show up. I expected that. But after waiting for a week, and he still didn't show up, it really made me angry. I went to his office. The front desk had me sign in. I sat outside the villa complex, but not even a shadow of him appeared. Yet, every day, there were a steady stream of gifts, jewelry, flowers, delivered to my doorstep. Each one came with a little apology card. The last one read, I'm no longer involved with Beatrice. Laura, I'll pursue you again. It's like when your kid dies and then you come crying to me, wanting to fix things after I've asked for a divorce. It's pathetic. I got so upset that I developed a breast lump and had to go to the hospital. And to top it off, I ran into Beatrice at the gynecology clinic. It really feels like there's no escape. I took a photo and sent it to Thomas's mother. Infidelity during the marriage. And now a child, if Thomas doesn't divorce me soon. I'll send this to the media. Has the Koo family been having a hard time at the board meetings recently? With a weak father, a strong mother, and a pregnant White Lotus mistress, Thomas finally showed up and signed the agreement. He looked even more haggard than I remembered. Walking out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, he said, "I can't do this. Do you think Jack will be any better? He faces even more temptation." Laura, all men are the same, and after leaving me, you'll be a second marriage. Age gap relationship. Do you know how difficult that is in this circle? Mr. Koo, after being abandoned by your wife, you're now turning to be a matchmaker and stirring things up? Jack wrapped his arm around my waist, smiling smugly. Which circle? What circle? Are you a pig being raised in a pen? Am I any good? Did you overhear something under my and Laura's bed? Men are indeed all the same, but you're not even human. Sometimes I envy Laura for finding such a younger brother. Brother, you're getting older. Don't you often feel like you're running out of strength? Thomas's face turned as dark as the bottom of a pot. You shamelessly seduce someone else's wife. You're so useless. Your wife doesn't want you anymore. Thomas was furious and helpless. Jack grinned smugly. Don't worry, ex-husband, even when I get married, I won't invite you. I'm afraid my happiness will be too loud and disturb you. Chapter 24. The day I got the divorce certificate was Jack's first day back at his company. He sent me a message. It's my turn to make money and support you now. Being a kept man and unemployed, I have no choice but to return and inherit the family business. How miserable. I laughed. I have money. I meant it. Back then, to prove that I, as a girl, wasn't inferior to my brother. I made quite a few investments. I thought one day I could go back and inherit the company, but no matter how useless my brother was, my parents never considered giving me a chance. So, I gave up. And these past few years, I've been using Thomas's money to invest in various projects. The return rate has been pretty high. On my way, I received a call from my grandmother, saying she missed me. After telling Jack, I bought the earliest flight back home. I told my grandmother about the divorce and cutting off ties with my parents. She held my hand and said seriously, "In life, you should live for yourself. Won't Grandma think I'm unfilial? I'm biased. To me, you're perfect. Better than anyone else." My eyes got a little wet. Fate is shallow, and these things can't be forced. From now on, Laura, live the life you want and shine brightly. The winter night fell quickly. After Grandma went to sleep, I stayed in the living room warming myself by the fire. My phone vibrated with a message from Jack. "What are you doing?" I replied, "Playing with the cat." "Do you like cats?" "Of course. I love little kittens. I want to kiss it till I'm dizzy." "Jack, I also want to get dizzy." I was speechless. Then he shared his real-time location. After joining, I saw that he was just around the corner. My heart started racing. His voice came through my phone. "I'll stand here for a bit longer. The neighbors will probably think I'm a thief." I quickly ran out. At the front door, he opened his arms with a smile. "Come here. Give me a hug." I admit, at that moment, the impact on my heart was greater than any other moment. I rushed into his arms, and his pleasant scent surrounded me. "How did you come here?" "I missed you. We haven't been apart for even a day." "One day, 24 hours, 1,440 minutes, 86,400 seconds. Isn't that enough?" I smiled softly. He tightened his embrace. "Aren't you cold? You're dressed so lightly. If you hug me, I won't be cold." The atmosphere was just right. As I stood on my tiptoes, he pecked my lips and winked at me. "Go inside? Someone's watching." "Huh?" I let go of him and saw several late-night kids standing not far away, staring at us. Our eyes met. They laughed and walked away. Shameless. 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 My face turned red. Jack reached out and pinched me. "Should I go say hi to Grandma?" "She's already asleep." He grinned mischievously. "Then we have more time." I pinched him back. "Are you thinking something inappropriate?" "What do you think I'm thinking?" "I don't know." "Oh, okay then." When we reached my room, He picked me up, tilting his head. He kissed me. Now you know? You're a pervert. You don't like it? Then I'll leave. He teased me. I bit my lip and looked at him. Don't tease me. He kissed my throat. I will. As things heated up, he called me baby. Jack was a wild dog in front of others and a little puppy in bed, making me completely unable to resist. I deliberately teased him. No. Who said it feels good? I didn't reply. Not going to answer? His movements became stronger. Again. I broke. Stop. Then call me Jack. No. David. Nope. Cutie. I'll give you one more chance. If you get it wrong, you won't sleep tonight. Husband. As the words fell, we climbed the mountains together, reaching the highest peak. Good girl. My wife. Chapter 25. While he was taking a shower, I browsed my phone. I saw a sentence, but love is useless. You need to love. Love the most. Love with preference. Love specially. I don't know if it was because of the post-shower clarity, but I suddenly started to seriously think about the relationship I had with Jack, which had begun with mistakes. He lifted the blanket, climbed into bed, and hugged me. What's with your face? Caught a cold? His gaze landed on my phone, and he smiled, planning to judge me after reading some self-help quote. Mind your own business, little miss. He raised an eyebrow gently. What's wrong? Are you unhappy with me? Come on, I'm right here. Just ask me directly if you have anything. Don't bring your emotions to bed. Honestly, when Jack gets serious, he really has that strong, masculine vibe. I sat up. Why do you like me? Because we're good together in bed? Although I felt like I was also kind of attracted to him physically. Jack's kindness over the past 2 years and recently had made me a little too spoiled by his affection. He fell silent. I knew it. You're just after my beauty and body. Just as I was about to turn my back, he pulled me back. I haven't said anything yet. And you're already sentencing me to death? Am I wronged? So, what were you thinking just now? I was thinking about our first meeting. Our first meeting? You were in your senior year, and I was a freshman. I gasped. You were eyeing me so early on? Jack, don't tell me you're some pure love warrior. Chastity is the best gift a man can offer. Even so, it was still unbelievable. I smirked. You were playing the pining role. Huh? Pining. My ass. I'm the dark and twisted type, and I've wanted to seize you from the start. Wait, are you a Yandere? After thinking it over, I realized, instead of making myself happy, I want to make you happy. He pinched my face. Are you satisfied now? Anything else you want to ask? I hesitated for a moment but finally spoke. Do you really think we're going to get married? What's wrong? Do you really want to keep me as a kept woman for life? Let me be your little kept boy? I didn't. Don't twist my words. I've said I want to marry you so many times, and all you care about is touching my abs. Didn't you hear a word I said? My momentum deflated. I think our relationship started out abnormal. An abnormal start might lead to an unpleasant end. He rolled over and kissed the corner of my lips. What are you thinking? Our men are all big romantics. Once we choose someone, we're in it for life. I like you. I love you. You can ask me anytime. My heart was filled with sweetness as I wrapped my arms around his neck. Then, let's start from the relationship of lovers now. Sure, but can I ask my girlfriend to stay up with me and watch the sunrise tomorrow? His kiss landed on my lips. No, don't worry. My stamina is good. I'm not tired. The end. Extra. I was pretty surprised when I found out Thomas and Beatrice broke up. After all, they already had a child. And if that's no longer a leverage, then that man is really useless. A friend of mine told me it wasn't about not using it, but the baby came out with dark skin. During the birth, both Ku father and Ku mother were there. When the baby was brought out, they were so angry they nearly fainted. After completely cutting ties with Beatrice, Thomas set his sights on me again, but he waited around for a long time without finding me. He didn't know. I was working with Jack to develop the overseas market. The world is big, and I didn't have time to entertain him with his regretful acts. After all, I had a jealous guy at home. Who had time to look at anyone else? Story 2. 5 years ago, I left Eric. Later, he won the Best Actor award. But at the Baxter Awards ceremony, he held up a photo of me and said, "My lover has been missing for a month. Please help me find her." The news of my death in 2018 had been reported countless times. But Eric, devastated, had lost his memory, forgetting everything about what happened after I died. The day his agent announced that Eric would indefinitely withdraw from the industry, news of Eric's attempted suicide broke. Chapter 1. My name, alongside Eric's, was trending again. It all started when 32-year-old Eric won the Best Actor award at the Baxter Awards for his movie Daylight Revelry. He expressed how difficult his journey had been, and then, to everyone's surprise, he took out an old, yellowed photo. In the video, Eric looked directly at the camera, his flawless face carrying a hint of helplessness as he said, "But everyone, my lover ran off in a fit of anger a month ago. I'd appreciate it if you could help me find her. Her name is Lisa." Eric's voice was so calm. It was as if he was indulging a playful child. It almost seemed like another level of enviable public display of affection. But the guests at the awards ceremony were all stunned, because everyone knew about the heinous knife attack at a city airport in 2018, carried out by a criminal with antisocial tendencies. I died on the spot, protecting a child who had been separated from their family. Afterward, my name stayed in the trending searches for a month. And, naturally, so did Eric's name. People dug up the fact that Eric and I had been together for 25 years, that our families were neighbors when we were little, and that we were childhood sweethearts. They found snippets of our love story in the vlogs Eric posted on his Weibo. Remembering Lisa after my death, time always quietly washes things away, making them blurry. After 5 years, everyone thought Eric was okay again, even though he lost 30 pounds in a month after I died. Even though he developed depression 6 months later. Even though Eric attempted suicide 6 times, each time being stopped by his agent, Paul. But eventually, he seemed to get better. In the second year, when spring was in full bloom, Eric returned to Weibo for the first time in a year, posting a selfie, taking half an hour to type 16 words. "I'm Eric." Paul told me, "It's best to see spring when you're healed." And Eric's fans logged on in droves. "Bro, you're finally back. So, bro, you're going to eat well today and gain some weight, right? The hot pot in Chongqing is really delicious." Among them, there were even some comments from rival fans. "The great actor ran out of money, didn't he? And what about Lisa? Mr. Devoted, will you still remember her?" In the blink of an eye, this comment was buried under countless others, as people indignantly defended Eric. But unexpectedly, Eric saw it. He replied, "Why wouldn't I remember Lisa?" Sometimes words seem emotionless, unable to truly convey a person's thoughts and actions. It seemed bold at first glance. But in reality, on the other side of the screen, Eric's gaze was as lost as a child's. He asked Paul the same question. Paul's throat tightened. And, as always, he lied through his teeth. "It's just a rival fan, brain dead. No morals. Spouting nonsense." The psychologist had told him that Eric's depression wasn't cured. It was as if he had developed some form of early Alzheimer's symptoms. He subconsciously chose to forget what he wanted to forget. Over the past year, through depression and self-harm, he had unknowingly developed a defense mechanism for when he was unhappy. This meant that sometimes Eric would be fine, and other times he would forget. Right now, he is in one of his extremely sorrowful phases. Paul had worked alongside Eric for years, and he genuinely felt for this man who had grown up with so much loss yet was so sentimental. So, he had once asked the psychologist sincerely, what would make him happier? The answer was to let him do what he was good at, acting. At first, Paul had worried about it, but he later realized those worries were unnecessary because every time Eric arrived at a new set and got his script, he automatically immersed himself in his role, acting with dedication and professionalism. There were, however, 2 incidents over the past few years. The first was 3 years ago when Eric played a professional killer. During a scene where a diligent young actor acted terrified, Eric suddenly burst into tears. The set was thrown into chaos. Paul had taken Eric into the break room. Sweat poured down Eric's face, his expression full of anxiety. It was as if he had gone back to the day I died. Eric, pale-faced, bit his lips until they bled. Paul couldn't do anything to ease his pain, so he stayed with him. After about 3 hours, in that small room where dim light filtered in, Eric suddenly reached out his hand, trying to touch the scarce light. Paul thought he would forget everything again, so he asked him about me. But instead, Eric asked another question. Paul, is the child Lisa saved that day okay? Paul had seen that child. The parents had always wanted to meet Eric. He didn't plan on hiding it. He's fine. The child is in middle school now. Eric lowered his lashes and nodded, his voice hoarse. That's good. Paul could only sigh and pat his shoulder. In the next moment, the man who pretended to be strong suddenly let down all his defenses, becoming as fragile as grass, his tears blurring as they fell, the pain evident. But what about my Lisa? Eric's throat tightened. Lisa? And I could only watch, feeling even more powerless than he did. Chapter 2. The second incident happened at the award ceremony. On Weibo, there were more than a dozen trending topics about Eric and me, all of them blowing up, reflecting on Eric's 12 years as an actor. From the very beginning, he publicly shared my name on Weibo. His manager, Paul, had urged him to think about his career and to hide our relationship, but he stubbornly refused. In his second year, he acted in a low-budget drama, which unexpectedly became a hit. His follower count skyrocketed overnight by hundreds of thousands, and along with it, new fans soon noticed Eric's pinned post, which said, "Lover, Lisa." That discouraged many of the new fans, and I once privately worried about Eric's future, feeling conflicted about whether we should break up. However, as soon as I sent Eric a breakup message on WeChat, tears streaming down my face, Eric came into the room with his camera to take pictures of me. He took great delight in snapping my embarrassing photos, and I, infuriated, chased him wearing my slippers. "You're crazy. Why are you taking pictures of me?" Chasing him around, I eventually collapsed in exhaustion. Eric, rather annoyingly, would lie down next to me and say seriously, "My dear Miss Lisa, you don't need to shed tears over how special you are to me. I'm famous because of my dedication and talent, not because I avoid relationships." I called him narcissistic and conceited. But the next day, Eric updated his pinned post. Late at night, he wrote a whole 10,000 words. He described in detail our love story, saying we'd known each other for 20 years. He wrote about how, when we were little, Eric had passed out on the way to the police station after being abused at home, and I timidly followed him and ended up saving him. After that, Eric's parents were charged with domestic violence and sentenced. His grandfather never liked him, and seeing my parents' kindness, he handed Eric over to our family. So, he became a part of our household. My parents raised him, and while I was pure-hearted for 20 years, Eric secretly developed feelings for me. On the day the college entrance exams ended, it was Eric's birthday. My parents were on a business trip, and I had put my heart into arranging everything for his birthday. But once the lights went out, Eric confessed his feelings to me. I still remember that scene, the soft glow of the lights, the faint scent of the cake, and the pale-skinned boy with his eyes closed, making a wish with devotion. Eric was always good-looking, even as a child, so I was stunned for a moment. He blew out the candles and opened his eyes, and our gazes just happened to meet. My heart thumped so loudly, it was deafening. "Did you make a wish?" I snapped out of it, blinking nervously as I asked him. "Yeah, I did." I never asked about his wishes, but since I couldn't find anything else to say, I impulsively asked what he had wished for. That night, I was as naive as a lamb to the slaughter. Eric's throat bobbed. He wished for his wish to come true. So, unable to contain his feelings any longer, he looked at me with such devotion. "Lisa, can we be together?" Naturally, I was too young and confused, so I rejected him. After getting into university, we purposely chose different cities, thinking it would be our chance to fully go our separate ways. But then, the next year, Eric got into a car accident. During the spring festival, my parents were busy socializing in another city, leaving me and a nurse to take care of him. Eric remained silent, and I ignored him too. On New Year's Eve, the nurse went home to celebrate. Fireworks lit up the night, and I excitedly wheeled Eric out to the balcony. Before we could ring in the new year, a soft voice spoke from behind. "Why won't you let me see the fireworks?" His tone carried a hint of dejection. I let out a startled huh, and just then, the sky exploded with fireworks. As I looked at the fireworks, I could hardly contain my joy. Eric, however, was only sneaking glances at me. When the noise subsided, I noticed and awkwardly rubbed my nose while staring at the ground, my toes shuffling against it. But then my forehead was lifted. Under the night sky, Eric looked worn and wounded, his voice hoarse. "Lisa, do you hate me that much?" Being a kind-hearted person, I quickly said, no, and scrambled to explain that I was just embarrassed. Not that I hated him. Eric pressed his lips together in thought. "But you never said yes." One sentence, and I felt my feet nervously digging into the ground, as if building a castle to hide in. The next time we met was in our 3rd year of college. All of my roommates had coupled up, leaving me as the only single one. They were all acting like best friends, showing me profiles of their brothers at home like they were treasures, and one even made a PPT presentation. The terrifying world of social anxiety. During the Dragon Boat Festival, I was feeling troubled, and Eric just happened to deliver some zonzi that my mom had made. I pulled him over and cheerfully introduced him to my roommates. "Look, this is my boyfriend." I even pinched him, just in case he gave us away. Eric, a natural actor, played the role well. He couldn't hide the smile tugging at his lips and even offered to invite everyone to the Drama Academy for 3 days over the holiday. My roommates abandoned their boyfriends in favor of handsome guys and pretty girls. Eric and I pretended to be a couple for 3 days. On the last day, Eric treated everyone to dinner. That night, after everyone had eaten and drunk their fill, I was the only one completely sober. Eric had shown an intense possessiveness, not allowing me to drink. After I finally managed to send my dear roommates off, Eric, conveniently drunk, collapsed onto me, casually dropping his apartment keys. I accused him of harassment, but his eyes, so beautiful, reddened by the alcohol, made his trembling lashes even more alluring. "Are you just going to watch me die without saving me?" he asked. "All right." I was entranced. The next year, Eric and I were officially together. After graduation, Eric frequently auditioned and took acting roles. I remember during the 3rd year, he landed a small role with just 5 scenes. We celebrated all night. I told him that his future was bright. In the 4th year, Paul discovered him, and with a stroke of luck, Eric became popular after starring in a low-budget indie film. So, in the long post he wrote later, he concluded with, "I won't discard the shoes that have taken me on this long journey, nor forget the mud she cleaned off them countless times. And I won't lose my original intent just for fame. My original intent is Lisa. I have loved her for so many years." That's why Eric was known as the first person to openly date at the peak of his fame. I read his statement, moved to tears, and posted on my moments with a bit of a teasing undertone, nicely written. "But who said I'm your shoes?" Eric helplessly replied, "Me." Over the years, Eric unwaveringly fulfilled his promise. He loved filming and often turned our life into vlogs for his fans. I became known as the luckiest sister-in-law in the entertainment world, and people said we were both rare creatures. Some even spent the entire night digging into our history, leaving comments on my page. "Sister, if you two break up, I will never believe in love again." Chapter 3. That day, I was planning to reply, but then, Eric ended up in the hospital late at night because of his stomach problems. I rushed there in such a hurry that I forgot my phone. Paul tried to comfort me, saying, "It's nothing serious, he's just gotten too into his role lately and hasn't been eating enough." We had fought about this a few times. Actually, it was more like I was the only one fighting. Eric would agree to all my demands, and after a while, it felt insincere. So that early morning, after Eric was stabilized within 4, I went home, sulking, and sent him a message. "Hello. This time, I'm not going to be easily coaxed." Eric replied quickly, "Where to?" We often argued, and after each fight, I would usually leave to clear my head. This time was no different, and Eric was used to it by now. He even helped me pick a place. Milan has nice scenery, and there's a hotel I stayed at when I was filming there. "You should go. I'll come find you after I wrap up in a couple of days." I told him I wasn't going. Then, the flight to Milan would arrive on time at 7 p.m. I sent Eric a photo of the plane ticket. But in the next moment, everything felt like an absurd dream. The child cried hysterically. The deranged killer, with a blood-stained knife, turned his red-eyed gaze on him. The entire airport was in a state of panic. And in my panic, I grabbed the child, pulling him into my arms to shield him. The atmosphere fell into an unbearable silence. Pain and death surrounded me without mercy. A few more strikes. My breaths grew shallow. The child's big tears fell, and he called me sister. I touched his head and collapsed to the ground. At the same time, the police restrained the deranged killer. That day, all of Weibo exploded in chaos. Countless people mourned me late into the night, crying bitterly. Eric's face was drained of color, tense as he saw my body covered with a white sheet. His hands shook, but he didn't dare uncover it. In the end, he still pulled back the sheet. The space felt starkly white. Eric, like a shattered porcelain doll, was utterly devastated. He kept backing away, lips trembling, until he collapsed, sobbing uncontrollably. He called my name, though no sound actually came out. I could hear it, Eric's broken voice, filled with unbearable pain, word by word. It felt like he was swallowing blades as he said, "Lisa, please, don't be mad anymore, okay? Come back, please. I won't do anything. I'll just stay with you. I'll eat on time. I'll go to Milan with you." Paul and Eric's team all burst into tears. The sadness was like a massive tornado, silently sweeping through the entire nation. That day, many people on Weibo were calling for me to come back. Even the trolls were there. "Lisa, stop the act and come back." They also dug up the truth. Eric had actually planned a grand proposal in a small town in Milan, at my intended destination, inviting our friends and people from the industry. Everyone knew, everyone except me. I felt cold all over, while Eric refused to accept my death. Like a stubborn child, he tried to pull me back up, using the warmth of his arms to warm me, insisting that I wake up. On the day of my cremation, my mom took the opportunity when Eric had collapsed after not eating or drinking for 3 days. When he woke up, I was already a pile of ashes. He held my urn, his fingers turning purple from the pressure, but he controlled his strength, not wanting to hurt me. "Lisa, are you lying to me? Why won't you talk to me?" His eyes were bloodshot as he muttered to the urn that could no longer respond. Later, in the vast ocean, he slowly let me go. Seagulls flew freely, dolphins swam in formation, yet Eric still wouldn't let me go. In the end, it was my mom who, unable to bear it any longer, took me back from him. Just let her rest in peace. "Eric, you can't go on like this. Understand?" But Eric couldn't hear a word of it. About a month later, Eric had lost 30 pounds. He missed all the drama promotions and team events. One day, Paul went to his house to get a contract that was about to expire, only to find an unconscious Eric. There was also a glaring arterial wound on his wrist. And so, year after year, Eric went through treatment and eventually got better. Even his therapist believed he was getting better. But on the night of the award ceremony, Eric's illness returned. After coming off the stage, still in his formal suit, Eric looked at the crowd that had gathered, their faces full of worry. He anxiously touched the scars on his wrist and looked at Paul. "Is there still no news about Lisa?" Chapter 4. There would be no more news about me. At least, that was true for anyone living in a normal world, but Eric wasn't like that. Paul couldn't say it either. He couldn't save someone who was trapped in his own empty world. All Paul could do was take Eric home, alone, like he had done for the past 10 years. Like a father caring for his wounded son, no matter the weather, bringing him back to his own place. Tonight, as expected, Eric was once again trending. There were people in the comments who felt regret, sadness, but also those who scolded him, calling Eric crazy, telling him to take his trophy and stop acting if he was mentally ill. Yet, the ones who cherished him outnumbered them. So, the vlogs of Eric and me were once again brought to the forefront by the gossip accounts, and the comments section was filled with tears. Paul instructed the team to calm the fans down first and arranged for a psychologist to be at Eric's small apartment tomorrow morning, ready to support him. That apartment had been there for over a decade, and Eric, Being someone with deep emotions and sentimental attachment had never changed it. No matter how much money he had. The other room was locked with all my belongings inside. According to local customs, my personal items were supposed to be burned and cremated. But Eric refused. And after everything that happened, the room just remained locked. The lock itself had begun to rust. Later that night, after Paul had settled everything, he handed Eric a new script, only as a way to console him. He knew it was a terrible, cliché drama, and with Eric's sharp eye for roles, he would surely dismiss it. Paul had used this method countless times. He also ordered 2 bowls of duck blood soup. Whenever Eric looked at a script, he would become completely absorbed, regardless of the quality. So, Paul waved his hand in front of Eric's reddened eyes, and those rare, beautiful eyes blinked in a daze, slowly coming back to reality. "Have something to eat," Paul said. Eric was about to shake his head, but then he paused, seemingly remembering something, and smiled. "Paul, I remember Lisa. Yesterday, she was just mad at me because I wasn't eating well." Paul was used to it, used to how Eric's subconscious would blur or confuse timelines. But it was always, without exception, about me. His throat tightened as he faked a hearty laugh. "Then you need to listen to her. If you don't, she'll stay upset for a long time." That night, a warm smile spread through Eric's eyes as he silently ate his meal, bite by bite. After finishing, he put down the superficial script, stood up, and put on his jacket. Paul dozed off for a moment, only to be startled awake by alarms blaring. "Eric, where are you going?" The assistants hired for Eric were on duty 24/7, always by his side, and there were always at least 3 of them. At this award show, Paul had insisted on taking on the duty himself. Eric paused as he put on his jacket, then smiled lightly. "Why are you so nervous?" "I can't go out during the day. It's too crowded. Now it's quiet. I just wanted to buy a gift for Lisa. Her birthday is coming up." Paul stammered in his nervousness, his words clumsy. But do you remember what you said at the awards today?" "What?" Eric tried to recall. After a moment, he answered, "We won an award for daylight revelry, right?" It seemed his condition had recently gotten worse. Paul considered whether he should stop Eric from working for a while. So he lied again. "Why don't we wait until tomorrow when we're back in Shanghai? She likes having you with her, and you know she always complains your gifts are too much like a typical guy's, right?" Out of muscle memory, Eric soon smiled. He remembered the first time we were together, when Eric bought me a set of 128 color eyeshadows, all the colors, very expensive, and shaped like a lotus. I laughed out of exasperation back then. The second time, he improved and got me daisies. Yeah, I never expected to be gone that year. Later on, when he got busier with filming, I told him there was no need to pick gifts for me anymore. It was too much. So Eric stopped buying gifts. He was sensitive and meticulous, so he found a middle ground. Whenever we went shopping together, I'd tiptoe, wrap my arms around his neck, and praise him. "This is good, buddy. I really like it." Eric would always smile, unable to hide it. At my teasing tone, he was probably at his most romantic when he prepared the proposal. He oversaw every tiny detail in secret, inviting all our friends and family to Milan. Everything was ready, except for one thing. I died at the airport. The wind blew, carrying the smell of blood, and I had no time to fully register the pain. My breaths were etched deep, down to my bones. As I felt myself fading away, I thought, how rebellious I am. Why did I have to fight? But then, in that brief flash, I also thought about that child. What was his fault in all this? He was so young, just like Eric once was, helpless and vulnerable. Chapter 5. It feels as though death has turned my life into a documentary. I returned to the moment when Eric and I went to the police, watching him barefoot, his small body leaving a trail of blood with each step. He couldn't see clearly, stumbled along, and finally collapsed in the shadow of a willow tree that year. I showed up wearing a princess dress. The panic in my expression happened to be the last thing Eric saw before he lost consciousness. His breathing was labored. His battered hand, faintly revealing bone, trembled as he tried to touch my foot but failed, closing his eyes instead. My parents followed me out in a rush, covering their mouths in shock at the sight. Later, The sound of police cars blared as Eric was taken to the hospital for treatment. His father, Nestor, anxiously rubbed his palms together, drunkenly bowing before the police, pleading, "Officer, I won't do it again. I was just drunk and causing trouble." The policeman's face darkened with anger. "Trouble? You beat your own child until the bones showed?" Maybe because of Nestor's connections, the officer tried to stay composed. He leaned down and looked at Nestor with utter disgust, lowering his voice to say, "The child had 5 nails driven into his waist. You people are monsters. A disgrace as parents." Nestor wept, bowing his head repeatedly, but it was of no use. 5 months later, Eric's wounds had mostly healed. That day, my parents prepared a clean, spacious room for him, full of plush toys and a newly installed TV. The doorbell rang, and Dad took my hand to open the door. Mom, wearing a dress, rushed over, having just finished setting the table with aromatic chicken. Outside, the sky was clear and bright. Eric stood there, with a backpack and a shabby suitcase, nervously gripping the strap of his bag. His eyelids were thin, and the veins were visible. He opened his mouth, trying to say something, but no words came out. Dad smiled as he took the suitcase. "Eric, welcome to our family." Eric told me he remembered that moment for his entire life. Countless times, in the dead of night, when he'd recall the painful memories from his original family, he'd wake up drenched in cold sweat. Then, he'd look at all the plush toys, pulling one into his arms. He would think, "How wonderful, I'm not alone anymore." But somehow, after everything, it seems Eric is alone once again. When Paul woke up, he rubbed his throbbing head and yawned. Just as he was about to drink some water, he noticed Eric's room was empty. His mind went blank. He rushed to find his phone, silenced at 7 a.m., only to see 23 missed calls. Realizing his absence, the assistant had also sent a screenshot and a video. Screenshot, Eric back on trending topics. The video shows Eric, dressed in pajamas, barefaced, standing in a strange Times Square. He's holding a photo, politely asking random passersby, one by one, "Excuse me, have you seen Lisa? Could you tell me if Lisa went to Milan?" "Lisa? Yes. She's my fiancée. Do you know her?" The star effect attracted countless people, and the crowd was impenetrable. Eric stood there, bewildered, his pale lips pressed together, and for once, he got angry. He was a humble, gentle person, and even when angry, all he did was frown. "Please don't block the way. I'm looking for someone." Then, someone in the crowd, unable to contain himself, thought it amusing. "Lisa is dead. You won't find her." The words spread, and people began to shout accusations. Eric, however, froze on the spot. His physical strength had always been extraordinary, and even with his good temper, he couldn't hold back this time. His fierce eyes grabbed the man's collar, his face twisted with rage. "I'm warning you, don't make such tasteless jokes." The environment was chaotic, and all that could be heard was a chorus of cries. Paul's heart ached as if it was being torn apart. The assistant's message popped up at the bottom of the chat. "Paul, this happened near my house. Eric and I are at the police station right now, just wrapping up procedures before heading back." Paul replied, saying all right. By dusk, the assistant knocked on the door, and when it opened, Eric was standing there, holding a massive teddy bear, about 5 feet tall. Paul asked, "What's with the teddy bear?" But Eric was vacant-eyed, his handsome face etched with sharp features, still as warm as always as he introduced it to Paul. "What teddy bear?" "This is Lisa." Paul was stunned. The assistant explained that on the way back, Eric suddenly saw the teddy bear standing outside a gift shop, and couldn't bear to leave it, so he bought it. Paul was speechless. For heaven's sake, if he wanted a castle, would you go buy it for him? Paul felt himself getting heated up, nearly boiling with frustration, and hurriedly packed his luggage, saying, "Quickly, as fast as possible, we need to go back." Chapter 6. Eric's condition was getting worse, and the online debate was intensifying. Paul was running around, almost losing his mind. He wished he could split himself into 8 parts. The psychologist said that Eric's depression hadn't improved in the slightest. It was clearly worse compared to 4 years ago. Paul couldn't help but rub his bald head. Losing his temper. Then why couldn't you see it earlier? The man's like this. And you have no sense of responsibility? The doctor pressed his forehead. Quite helpless. Eric's condition isn't something recent. It's been going on for years. There's always been an emotional knot in his heart that he can't untie. And you know that. Relying solely on medication is like trying to put out a fire with a cup of water. Paul still wanted to argue. But the doctor, unwilling to engage with someone who didn't fully understand, packed up and left. They had been friends for many years. Make sure Eric eats on time. Terminate all his activities. Keep him under 24-hour surveillance. And be cautious, another suicide attempt isn't out of the question. Paul quickly calmed down. This time, Eric didn't wake up for 3 whole days. When Paul returned to Eric's room, Eric was filming with his camera again. The giant teddy bear was sitting on the sofa. The television was on. Facing the bear, Eric smiled gently. Lisa, why do you always have the same expression? Just as he finished, he felt exhausted again. Carefully and quietly, he lay down on the bed and fell asleep. Paul watched him sleep, and his eyes couldn't help but feel heavy with emotion. He sat by the bed and sighed. Eric, when will you finally wake up? However, the next day when Paul entered the room, it was pitch dark. Eric was still in bed, and hadn't moved at all. Paul was about to open the curtains. Then, a hoarse voice came from the bed. Don't open them. Eric was holding the bear's paw. After being silent for a long time, his throat dry, he spoke again. Paul, have I had another episode? Not exactly. Paul paused, not knowing how to explain the dramatic scene that had unfolded the previous day. Sighing heavily. Yeah, you could say that. Since Eric already knew, there was no point in hiding it any longer. Eric lay with his back to Paul, the room dark. His entire figure seemed to be buried in the despair of an isolated island. This wasn't the Eric he was when Lisa was still around. If everything had been normal, Eric would never have allowed himself to appear so fragile in front of Lisa. But who was he standing tall for? Whom was he trying to protect now? After a long silence, Eric, who had cherished his acting career for almost 10 years, struggled to maintain a calm voice. Paul, I'm not suitable for acting anymore. The words left Paul stunned for a long time. What do you mean? He was taken aback. Explain it more clearly. I don't understand. Eric's voice was as still as a pool of dead water. I'm leaving the industry. Paul shook with rage, gritting his teeth, his eyes wide. He rubbed his bald head and paced around the room. Eric, stop being ridiculous. Paul had been in this industry for so many years and had stayed by Eric's side through it all. Besides Lisa, no one else knew how much Eric loved acting. Where's your ambition? Back then, you could portray 5 different emotions for just a 5-scene extra. After becoming famous, you went on to make art films. And when big directors wanted you for their high-budget movies, you didn't even look at them. You spent your days tirelessly reading scripts. And now you're telling me you're not suitable? Paul felt like his world was falling apart. All those messy idol stars are alive and kicking. But why can't Eric, who's dedicated to his craft, keep going? Is being an award-winning actor too much to handle? However, Eric accepted everything in silence, closing his eyes calmly. Paul, I'm sick. Just those few words left Paul speechless, his lips moving without sound. Finally, he could only say, with tears welling in his eyes, you can still get better, Eric. At this moment, Eric's vulnerability was plain to see. I can't get better. How can someone walk if they've lost their shoes? Outside the door, Paul leaned against the wall, exhaling deeply from his chest. Then, he looked up, letting the tears fall. He could no longer hold them back, speaking helplessly to the air. Lisa, if you're out there, please help Eric. The assistants rushed over to support him. He shook his head, refusing. Just take care of Eric. His mind had already started figuring out Eric's exit from the entertainment industry. In this world, a person's life is the most important thing. Besides, he couldn't keep this up any longer. Chapter 7. Eric's condition fluctuated, sometimes standing on the balcony staring outside for hours, sometimes sitting there all night. At times, he would hold a large teddy bear and mumble to himself. The house was small, and Paul, being meticulous, had all the windows reinforced and installed a tracking device on Eric. Now, Eric was quiet and obedient, capable of not speaking for an entire day. If no one reminded him, he would even forget to eat. When food spilled onto his clothes, he wouldn't notice, just like an unborn child, confused and ignorant. When he had episodes, he never called for his parents, only for Lisa. One day, while the assistant was cooking, Eric suddenly appeared in the kitchen doorway. Smiling, the assistant looked at him, holding back his emotions and smiling. "Brother Eric, why are you so happy? Is there good news?" Eric acted like a normal person. He sighed softly, and a smile played on his lips. "Lisa complained that I wasn't eating well and went to the airport. I'm going to propose to her tomorrow. And tonight, brother, we're all flying to Milan together." The assistant was a die-hard fan of Eric. Though he hadn't been with him for long, he had learned that Eric was a good person inside and out, even when he was sick. He never pretended otherwise. Eric never had an air of superiority. Always approachable and kind, the assistant sniffled, holding back tears, and smiled naturally. "All right, brother, then eat a few more bowls of rice today." Eric nodded and agreed. That night, Eric forgot about going to Milan again. He rarely had a moment of clarity and, at 9 o'clock, called Paul over. The two sat across from each other in the living room. Eric seemed to be in a good mood and looked surprised at the stack of documents Paul had brought. "Is there really this much?" Paul's mood was the opposite, so he spoke sarcastically. "What do you think, Eric? The great actor? Where could you find another 32-year-old Chinese actor recognized globally? A popular, beloved talent?" Eric found it amusing, shaking his head without saying anything. Late at night, the two talked until they were both exhausted. Eric stared at his 70 million followers on Weibo and at the forever pinned video. Lost in thought, Paul knew he couldn't let go and patted his shoulder. "All right, you go ahead and post the retirement announcement. Pick a normal working hour. The marketing accounts and the publicity staff need their rest too." Eric responded with a sound from his throat. In the end, the endorsement penalties were paid, and the accounts for all these years were settled clearly. Paul only took a tenth of the salary for himself. The night was too quiet, with cicada calls coming from all directions. The wind was strong, and the weather forecast said there would be a heavy storm tomorrow. At the farewell, Eric, who was always afraid of the cold, stood on the steps and suddenly looked at Paul's bald head and smiled. Paul noticed his gaze and jokingly glared at him. "You ungrateful brat. What are you staring at me for?" Unexpectedly, Eric looked at him deeply and said softly in the silent night, "Paul, you know, you're really kind of like my dad." He added, "I mean, a regular dad." Paul didn't take it to heart, treating it as a compliment. All right, with those words, it was all worth it. The next moment, Eric bear hugged him, and before Paul could react, they had already separated. Eric, who was much skinnier now, patted Paul's shoulder, just like Paul used to do to him, and joked, "Go, just treat it all as a dream." Paul got goosebumps, pressed the car key, and also joked, "Get lost. Hurry up and post the statement. Otherwise tomorrow the paparazzi will have a field day." Watching Paul leave, Eric returned to the house without Lisa. The silence was so overwhelming that it made it hard to breathe. Shortly after returning to the couch, as expected, his assistant came in to check on him, unable to feel at ease. An hour later, Eric thoughtfully finished posting his retirement statement. Late at night, Eric pretended to be in one of his episodes, silent and dazed, eventually lying down to sleep. He was a natural actor, closing his eyes tightly and controlling his breathing rhythm so that people would feel reassured and turn away. Soft conversations echoed in the hallway. "Remember to bring Eric's medication in 2 hours." Another hour later, the assistant, who felt reassured, tucked Eric in and left. Eric was lying on his side, half of his face buried in the pillow. 2 hours later, the assistant came in with the medication. Following procedure, he softly called Eric's name, but this time, no matter how much he called, Eric wouldn't wake up. By daylight, the news that Eric had committed suicide by slitting his wrists at home broke. People left comments. "Liar. I tell you, Whoever spreads rumors deserves death. I don't believe it. This has to be fake, right? Then, a video of Paul rushing to the hospital at dawn in the storm, falling in the rain, quickly made it to the trending lists on major platforms. In the video, Paul covered his face, crying uncontrollably. The man in his 50s, at this moment, didn't even have the strength to walk. Now everyone believed it. Following the news of Eric's suicide, at 10 o'clock in the morning, a scheduled message from Eric was posted, announcing his retirement from the entertainment industry. He had updated his Weibo homepage with a new pinned post. Friends, I'm going to find Lisa. Don't be sad. This rain is your farewell to me. The next day, as the drizzle began to stop, countless fans, their eyes red from crying, came to Eric's house holding daisies. Initially, the security guards tried to stop them, but later Paul, his voice hoarse, said, "No need. Eric always loved his fans. Let them say their goodbyes." Perhaps it was mercy from the heavens. As the rain continued on and off for a whole month, on the day the skies cleared and a rainbow appeared, Paul posted a message on his social media. "Kid, you've reunited with Lisa, haven't you?